looking at number 7. Okay, what type of equation is this, guys? It does involve a natural log, but what type of equation? It's logarithmic. Very good. It's a logarithm. In terms of logarithm, it's a natural log. Okay. How many natural logs do we have in that problem? 1. So we need to isolate it. We only want 1. And thank goodness we only have 1, but we need to isolate it. So what we're going to move over first? 7 becomes a negative 7. So I got 3 natural log of x equals negative 1. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 3. The natural log of x equals negative 1/3. Now, looking at this, logarithmic, we're going to put it in what form? It's in logarithmic, we're going to put it in what form? What's your understood base there? E. E raised to what? E raised to negative 1/3 equals x. So you're going to get your calculator. And you tell it input E raised to negative 1/3 and you get 0.717. Make sure you put that in parentheses at negative 1/3. All right, let's look at number 8. What type of equation is that, guys? Logarithmic. How many logs do we have in there? 2. We want how many? 1. So what do you remember that we could do with that? We need to use some what? Properties. Very good, Mary Catherine. Properties. Now, I look there and I see addition. So what rule will we use? Product multiplication. You're going to multiply these two. Now, my question is this. Can I drop that log base side here? No, why can I not drop it in this scenario? Sometimes we can, but on this one we can't. Why can I not drop log base 5 here? It's not an entire problem. If it had been log base 5 here, here, and here, could I drop it? Yes, but it's not. So you cannot do that, okay? So, I'm going to rewrite this as log base 5, and I'm going to multiply. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. So I multiply those two together. Now, am I down to 1 log? Yes. So now I'm going to put in exponential. 5 raised to the what power? 1. 5 raised to 1 is 5 equals 4x squared minus x. Now I just went from a logarithmic to what type of function? Quadratic. So therefore I got to get it set equal to 0. Very good. Now I'm going to tell you, if you're going on to AP Calculus next year, you cannot forget how to factor before next year. Ms. Ranillo expects you to be able to factor that in less than a minute. So you better practice your speed factor this year. So you got 4x squared minus x minus 5. That's going to be bust them up. So got to multiply to give you negative 20, add to give you negative 1. That's going to be positive 4x and minus 5x. And I'm going to group that off. Posky, are you doing math workshop right now? Alright, now, I factored that and got 4x minus 5 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. By now in your mathematical career, you should be able to do that in your head. 4x minus 5 equals 0, x equals 5/4. And x equals negative 1. So I got two solutions, 5/4 and negative 1. Do I need to check these? when I get more than one solution to see if they work. Because what do we really have to worry about in logs? Logs are not defined for what type of numbers? Negative. Very good, Gracie. If I put a -1 right here, a -1 right here, can I have a -1 next to a log? No, do you remember that? So that's not your answer. Your only answer is 5/4. I'm so glad we're reviewing this. Yes, you will have a test. I already got the test made out for this. So we need to be reviewing this. Is it coming back to you? I need a hand signal. It might not be perfect, but as long as it's coming back. Okay. Alright, thank you. Now let me tell you a little bit about what's going on here. Tomorrow I'm not going to be here. Miss Clemens is going to be in here. But you're going to come in and you'll have a math workshop. Do you see this exponential and logarithmic section on your math workshop? Finish that for math workshop tomorrow. And you can work together in your group. And then I think there's some on the back. I gave you like 3 or 4 on the back. You're going to do those. You have 10 minutes. And then Miss Clemens is going to hit play. And Miss Chester's going to go over your homework tonight that you have tonight. I'm going to review hyperbolas a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is teach the second part of this lesson, because I can't get through parabolas today. But let me tell you how I'm going to assess this, because I'm not going to be here tomorrow. And let me show you. Here's your test. It's a good one. If you don't study, you can't watch the video, you're in trouble. Big time. Alright. First page is all hyperbolas. 4 graphs, 3 equations. 2 on here, 1 on the back. You said, Mr. What are those pictures? Okay. I put 2 more questions on the test so your question won't count so much. So if you miss these 2 questions, here's your correction. You ready? Identify each strip diagram as a hyperbola or parabola. It's a picture. If you can't tell me what it looks like right there, like for instance, what is that a picture of? Oh dear God, what is that a picture of? That's all you got to write. So if one's a hyperbola, then what do you think that's going to be over there? Don't miss those 2 questions, okay? So that's 2 questions, okay? So you should be able to handle those, okay? Today I'm going to teach you how to graph. You should be fine on these 2. The last page of your test is 3 questions. That's what I'm going to teach you in the video tomorrow. However, since I'm not going to be here and I'm teaching it to the video, what I'm going to let you do is choose any one of these and just answer one of the 3 since I'm not going to be here, okay? So that makes your test out of a total of 12. Even though it's 14, you just choose one of these and you can leave the other 2 blank, or if you do the other 2 and get them right, give them bonus points too. Are you good with that? Some of you need some bonus points right now. Okay? Is everybody good with that? So the front and back of this test, you should be fine. This is the part that I'm not going to do. You only got to choose one of them. Is everybody good with that? And if you do the other 2 and you come right, it's bonus points. Is everybody good with how the test? So tomorrow I'm going to review a little bit, then go over your homework, and then teach a few examples. After that, you're going to have assignment, and your assignment is going to be coming off that homework page and another page in your book. But just know this. On Friday, I'm taking this up. Whatever I assign should be completed for this week. I'm going to give you a completion grade. That means attempted. You get 100 if you completed what I asked you to. And then I'm going to do a homework check where I pick 10 problems and just see if you got them correct. That's going to be all or nothing. So if you miss 1, you made 9. Miss 2, you made 8. It means you did. You got me? But if we go over them every day, you should be correct. Does everybody understand? So you got a test, homework completion, and a homework check on Friday. Is everybody good? Great. Let me see that. doubting this morning. There's some doubters. In first period, they said Matthew might not have that. He might be taken out. But see, he persevered. I just didn't think he would show up. I'm surprised that he just proved. All right, here we go. Let's look at number 34. Number 34. I want you to be checking your work just on the algebra part of 34. While I post attendance, check 34. Who's missing from the family today? Scotty? Right? Who's all in your group? Okay. Catherine. Not Catherine. Ashley. Is that what Ashley said? Who's this? Matthew. Matthew, that's right. Okay. All right. So, Shay, you ready to explain this problem, big boy?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you get 9, you set it up to where 9y squared and 18y minus 4x squared plus 24x, and then you move your negative 63 over, make it positive 63.
Mm-hmm.
Then you pull 9 out of the first problem, which gives you y squared minus 2y. Y squared minus 2y, so you have to, you get negative 1, you square that, you get 1. That's called completing the square. And then you take...
You want first, make you go.
And then you take the negative 4 out of your x's and get x squared minus 6x. So you have that and square it and you get plus 9. Then you take it and you don't just add 1 to your 63, you multiply it by 9, so you get plus 9. And then you don't just add 9, you got to multiply it times negative 4, so you get negative 36. So you end up with 9y minus 1 squared, or 9 times y minus 1 squared.
Start there for a minute. That's how you explain something to me. Very good. Very good. All right, now I got to take over for just a second. Okay. Y squared came first, so that's why you know that y is going to be first in the parentheses. So is this going to be vertical or horizontal orientation of hyperbola? Vertical. Does everybody understand that?
Wait,
Because y came first here, that's going to mean y is going to be here, so this will be vertical. Are there any questions on the first three lines? Let's make sure that. Are we good on the algebra part of it? If not, ask me, okay? Ask me if we're not. Okay, now the reason we divide by 36 here is because it's not in standard form. In order to be standard form, it's going to be set equal to 1 and have a minus here. So to take a 9 out, that's 4. Take a 4 out, that's a 9, equals 1. All right, now be careful on the center, because you're tempted to put 1, 3, but that's with the y, so it's actually 3, 1. Does everybody see that? Okay. And I'll remind you that before the test on Friday. Now, remember your a squared value always comes first, so a squared is equal to 4, a equals 2. B squared is 9, b equals 3. Okay? To come up with the asymptote equation, it's y equals the part associated with the y, which is this 4 is associated, so it's 2, not the 4, the 2. 2 divided by the part associated with x, which is 2 over 3. You graph your center first, use your a value to find your vertices, go up 2, down 2, and then use your asymptote equation to construct your lines there. Got a question for you. These are different from ellipses. Is the focus between this, are the foci between the center and the vertice, or on the outside of the vertice? Outside of the vertice, just for information. All right, let's look at number 35. Here's where we're writing equations. We're writing equations for hyperbolas. Guys, on this, I'm going to tell you, the best thing to do is graph it and see what you got going on. So right here on 35 it says the vertices are here and the foci are here. So if I graph this picture right here, here's my vertices, here are my foci. I can tell they're on that one line. That's your major axis. So is this a vertical or horizontal? Vertical. So will your x or y come first in your equation? Y. Very good. So that's why I put y. Now, the way I found my center, here's my vertices. That's the only point in between vertices, isn't it? So that's not going to be happening. There won't be any parentheses. I put y first, minus x squared equals 1. Your a value is the distance between your center and your one of your vertices. So that's 1. 1 squared is 1. Well, I need to find my b value. Well, I have no idea right now, but I could use the formula c squared equals a squared plus b squared. I could use this because I know my foci. My c is my distance from one of my foci to the center. My center's here. 1, 2, 3. So my c value is 3. C squared is 9. So now that I know these two values, I can plug into this formula right here. And I find out that my b squared is 8, and that's why I put 8 under the x there. This is not a hard test, but if you do not study and do not go and review those videos, it could be, okay? I'm just glad I'm glad this year we decided to split it into two tests, because when you had circles, hyperbolas, parabolas, ellipses all in one test, it was a nightmare last year. Worst test grade of the year. Yes.
You said that you wouldn't give us one test about like you can't think of
Oh, like graphing? Yeah, no. But you can be able to, you might, like, but you're writing it here, so you're not in the graph, so I could give you something like this.
So like graphing.
Yeah.
Wait, so you count from the center? How do you find the
C value. The C value is the distance from the center to one of the foci. Yeah. All right, let's look at number 36. Number 36, it gives you all this information, the vertices, and the foci. So I graphed that information. So here your vertices are at -3, 2, and 1, 2. These are my vertices right here. So I moved in and found my center to be -1, 2. I can tell my major axis is a horizontal line, so I know my orientation will be horizontal, so x will come first. I did my center. So this top part should be easy. It's -1. I'm going to put +1 parentheses. Positive, put -2. Now I need to find these two values. Well, my A is the distance from my center and my vertice, not my foci. That is C value. So my vertice is right here, so don't let your points confuse you, okay? This can be very confusing because if you think that it's this right here is your vertices, make sure you look at it. So from my center to my vertice is a distance of 2 units. 2 squared is 4. Okay? Now, I'm going to find my C squared value so I can use this formula. The distance from my center to my foci is 3. So I have 3, C squared is 9. So now I can plug 9 in for C squared, 4 in for A squared, move that 4 over, and I get 5 for my B squared, and that's why there's 5 there, okay?
For the foci equation, for ellipses, it's normally minus.
Yeah, for hyperbola it's plus. Yeah. Alright, number 37. 37 is kind of a tricky one. I won't give you one that's too tricky, but it's still solvable. Here we go, number 37. It says the vertices are 0, -6, and 0, 6. Well, of course, the center is 0, 0. It's on that vertical line, so I know that y is coming first. Y squared minus x squared equals 1. Now, remember, your A value is the distance between your center and one of your vertices. That distance is 6. 6 squared is 36. That's how I arrived at 36 there. Okay? I need to find my B value. You said, Mr. Chester, okay. So, Mr. Chester, they gave you that equation y equals 2x. Yes. And you said the part associated with y would be in the numerator. So, why isn't 6 sitting here since there's 36 there? You see what I'm saying? Okay, the reason is because they reduced the slope. So this is how you can find it. Like I said, I'm not going to give you one like this, but watch this. So really the y value is 6, but here they got a 2 there. You want to know. So how could I find the value? Okay, I put 2 here, I put 6 here. What did I multiply by 2 to get 6? 3. What's 1 times 3? So my B value is what? Or my part that belongs to x is what? So what's 3 squared? 9. Do you see how that? Because that's really it, but it's simplified. That's a hard one. Like I said, I'm not going to give you one like that. I'll give you one like the next one. Yes.
So like when they do the asymptote or whatever.
That's where you pull your A and B part
Right.
from.
So it would be
Or you don't have to think about A and B. Just go, okay, which number goes with y? The y value's on top, so I'm going to take that number, square it, and put it into the y. And then the number in the denominator, I'm going to take it, square it, put it in the x. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because since y comes first is A, it would be
And on this one, we could just check because we know the A value is 0 to 6. That's right there, yes.
Wait, how are we supposed to know is 6 over 2 instead of 2?
Because that's a ratio. Because what did you multiply 2 by to get 6? 3. What's 1 times 3? 3. So this and this is the same thing, isn't it? It's just written 2 different ways. Because right here, buddy, from here to here is the value of 6. Do you see that? That's why I put 6 there. Number 38. It says the vertices are at -1, 3, right here, and 5, 3. So I found my center to be 2, 3. It is on a horizontal line, so I put my x first. So that part. Now let's talk about how we got these two things. Alright. Your first value is always your A value. A is the distance from the center to the vertex. How many units is this? 3. What's 3 squared? 9. Now they give you this equation right here. The part, okay, so you told me A is 3. Okay? The A part, the part associated with X is in the denominator. Do you see 3? Do you see 3? Is that what you wanted? So you checked yourself. That's correct. What part is associated with Y? 4. What's 4 squared? That's why I put 16 there. That's the kind of one I would give you on the assessment.
Wait, how do you know x is in the denominator this time?
Because slope is rise over run. Y sub 2 minus Y sub 1 over X sub 2 minus X sub 1. Are we good on those? If you're having trouble, you need to rewatch the video from yesterday. Some of you would got to shoot for a good grade. That last test, the conic section test 1, isn't easier than the 1, but we got to do better. Some of us. All right. Now I want you to turn to page 7 in your notebook. We're going to do this the rest of the period. We're going to talk about the fourth and final conic section when a plane intersects a right cone. When you intersect this cone right here, do you see that parabola is formed? That parabola is formed right there. Okay? Now, we have two different orientations. We have a horizontal and we have a vertical. The horizontal, do you see where the line of symmetry for this parabola is horizontal? That's why it's called horizontal. Here the line of symmetry would be vertical, would it not? Okay? Now, I'm about to give you a lot of information. It looks like a lot, but it's really not, and it's really easy, okay? But just sit back and just soak it in, okay? For a horizontal equation, your equation is y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. The p-value, which is the focus, is the distance from... Now I'm going to ask you this. I know that a circle, I know that an ellipse, and I know that a hyperbola had a center. But when we study parabolas, have we ever talked about the center of a parabola? What was that word we used? Say it. Somebody said it. Vertex. That's your low point or your high point, isn't it? So in this conic section, we don't have a center. We have a vertex. Okay, it is a vertex. So the focus is the distance from the vertex to the focus. The focal width is equal to 4p. The directus is x equals x minus p. I'm going to go back and tell you all what this means in a minute, but right now, let's just write the notes down. Last room on the down here.
What was the directus?
It's x equals h minus p. In a minute, after we write all this down, I'm going to go back and explain it to you because it's going to make sense. Same as that up there. When you're done, look up. Alright, I need you to sit back and just listen for a minute and let it soak in, okay? This is how I remember things. You said, Mr. Shedd, I got to memorize all this. Not really. If you just listen. Okay? I want you to notice in both equations, the first parenthesis is squared. There's some number and another parenthesis. You see that? Do you notice the second parenthesis is not squared? Does everybody see that? Okay. You said, Mr. Chester, do you pick the center out, or I mean the vertex out just like you did the center? Yes. Whatever's in the parentheses with the x is opposite of what you see. You see negative, but it's going to be positive. That will go first, and then that number that's inside the parentheses will y. So that's still the same as if it was like you're picking the center. That's the same way. Is everybody good there? So that's how you identify the vertex. Okay? Now this is how I remember. Y comes first in this parentheses. It's opposite of what you think. You think of y as vertical, don't you? But it's actually going to be a horizontal. X comes first. You would think horizontal, but it's actually going to be vertical. So that, just get that in your mind, okay? Does everybody get there? Okay. Whatever number is sitting right here, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, it's the focal width. And you said, what is focal width? Hold on, I'm going to get that in a minute. Focus. In a parabola, the focus is inside the parabola. So you have your vertex and your focus. Let's say it was 2. 1, 2. Your vertex here. I'm 2 away. Okay? That's your p-value. That tells you how far the focus is from the parabola. 2. Okay? Now the focal width, so let's say your p-value is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. That means your focal width is 8. That means at your focus, that's how far your parabola spans out. So if the whole thing is 8, and I'm at my focus, that means it goes, how many units this way? 4, and how many that way? That's what focal width means, okay? Directus. Okay. The parabola is the only one, guys. You know how we talked about a focus as a fixed point? Well, a parabola has a fixed point known as the focus, which you're familiar with, but they also have a fixed line. The fixed line is called a directress. So that's the only one that has a fixed point and a fixed line. Now, the cool thing about the focus and the directress, if the vertex, look at me, focus, if the vertex is 2 units, if the focus is 2 units from your vertex, then the directress is 2 units. It's the same distance, okay? Okay? Now, this right here gives you the equation of your line for your directress. Okay? So, if it starts with y, then you're going to have x down here, okay? Yes. So, if it starts with y, you're going to have x equals down here. And what you do is you just take your x coordinate and minus the p-value. It starts with x, you take the y, take your y coordinate and minus the focus. That's all you do. Watch this. We're going to get it. Let's look at number 1. We want to graph. We want to find the vertex, the focus, the directress, and the focal width, and then graph. Looking at this. The y values first. Is this going to be a vertical or horizontal? It's opposite of what you think. Horizontal. Horizontal. Vertex. Are there any parentheses in any of this? So what's your vertex? 0, 0. The number sitting out here, like right here, 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 and here. You see all those numbers right there? That number is automatically your focal width. That's automatic. Your focal width on number 1 is 8. Focal width is 8. Focal width is 8. Now, from that value is how you find your focus. You take this value and divide it by 4. Therefore, your p-value is equal to 2. That means your focus is 2 units from the vertex. That means your directress is 2 units from the vertex. You said, why do you divide by 4? You see this 4p right here? Isn't the focal width 4 times your p-value? You divide it every time that number by 4. So your focal width is here. You take that number, divide it by 4, and that gives you 2. Now we need to find our directress. We started with y here. We're going to start with x and x equals your x coordinate minus your focus. So I found my vertex to be 0, 0, my focal width to be 8. My focus, you take the focal width, divide by 4, that gives me 2. Your directress, it was y, I start with x, you take your x coordinate minus your p-value. Those 4 pieces of information, what you're going to use to graph. Yes?
Your x be -2.
Yeah, that's -2, thank you. Alright, now I'm going to graph this. My vertex is 0, 0. I always graph my vertex first. Then your directress. Your directress is x equals -2. That's the equation of that fixed line. If I have x equals some number, would that be a vertical or horizontal line? It's vertical. It's opposite of what you think. So right there is x equals -2. That's my directress. That's that fixed line. That's the first two things I graph every time, my directress and my vertex. If you need to check it off as you go, you graph this, you graph this. And the reason I graph my directress, guys, is if the directress is one direction, your focus is going to be on the other direction, okay? So if I'm going this way for my directress, and how far is my focus away from my vertex? So am I going to the left 2 or right 2? That's where I'm going to put my dot for my focus right there. No, you don't have to label it. We're almost done. Now that focal width, if I'm standing at that focus of 2, I'm here at 2, and my focal width is how much? I need a point. How many units this way? 4? How many this way? And you're done. I went 4 up, 4 down, and there's my parabola, and I'm done. Let's go to number 3. I'm going to click. Number 3. It begins with Y. So is this horizontal or vertical? Horizontal. What is my vertex? 3, 2. Be careful at 3, 2. My focal width is how much? 4. How do I find my P? Take that value and divide it by what? So my P value is? That means my focus and my directress is how far from my vertex? 1. Now I define my directress. If I start at Y, I'm going to start with X down here. X equals, what's my X coordinate? 3 minus my P value, so X equals 2. I found all my information I need to graph that now. It seems like a lot, but once you start graphing it, it doesn't take long to graph it.
Wait, where did you get your feedback?
You take the number sitting down here on this side and divide it by 4. Alright, let's graph it. Graph your vertex first, 3, 2. Check. Graph your directress. X equals 2. That's going to be a vertical line at the X equals 2. Check. Now, since my directress is that way, would I go that way with my focus? I will go this way, wouldn't I? How many units do I need to go that way? 1. Put a dot. Check. Now I want my focal width. The span of that parabola is 4. So at my focus, do I need to go 4 or 2 this way? 2 this way, and how many the other way? 2. And you are done. There's your graph of that parabola. Bless you. Is it making more sense? We're going to do another one. We're going to do 2 more. Yes.
So you go 2 because the distance from
The entire span from here to here is 4. That's why it's called focal width. Okay. I'm going to do number 4 on graph paper because I ran out of room there. Let's look at number 4. Alright. Starting with this number 4 here. Since X begins at Parker, is this going to be vertical or horizontal? Vertical. Yes, that's correct. Vertical. Okay, vertex. Matthew, what you get on the vertex, bud?
Matthew, 5.
5. And is there parentheses over here?
Or, no.
So what would you put?
0.
Very good. Alright. Now, what will be your focal width there, buddy?
8.
Very good. What will be my p-value there, Gracie Strickland? 8 divided by 4 is 2. Very good. Now let's find our directress. This started with X, so what will I start my directress with? y equals my y value minus my p value. So y equals -2. Now I'm ready to graph it. Graph your vertex first. Check. Graph your directress. Y equals -2. Is that a horizontal or vertical line? Everybody. Horizontal. So I graph my horizontal line right here. Since my horizontal line is this way, I'm going to go the other way with my focus. So it's 2 away. And that's what it's supposed to look here. 2 away, 2 away. Check. Focal width is 8. So how many do I need to go on each side of my focus? 4 units, don't I? And then you graph your parabola. How do I know what?
The point above the vertex,
How do I find that?
is that your P?
That's your p value.
How do you know?
Which way to go? You go away from your directress. See, at my vertex, my direction that way, I'm going to go the opposite way.
Is it all, or like, I mean, how do you know if it's vertical, like, you're on the up and down line? Or is it always, like, you go up? You don't have to.
Well, you just... Okay, if you look here, isn't your directress down? Then you go opposite direction, up. If your direction is right, you're going to go left, you know. Alright, let's look at number 5. I want you to look at number 5 on the back page. Notice number 5 is nowhere in standard form, so you know there's going to be some type of completing the square. Y squared plus 6y plus 8x plus 25. Since y squared comes first, you're going to leave y first, okay? So, I'm going to leave y squared plus 6y equals. Now, guys, if you go back to these formulas right here, I want you to notice something here. The only parentheses that was squared was these first ones, wasn't it? And then if you could make a parentheses over here, you would, but it's not square. So the only problem with completing square is over here. Okay? So I need to move this over and this over. That's going to be -8x minus 25. Let's take half of 6. What's half of 6? 3 squared is? If I add 9 there, I need to do what on those sides? Okay, now that's going to be y plus 3 squared equals -8x minus 16. If you can make a parentheses, do you think we need to make a parenthesis over here? What can I factor something out of that? What can I factor out? -8. So I'm left with y plus 3 squared equals -8x plus 2. And now that looks like the standard form right there. Alright, so y comes first. Is this horizontal or vertical? Horizontal. Vertex. What is that going to be? -2, -3. What is your focal width? Whatever's sitting here, negative what? 8. Focal width is going to be -8. What's your p-value? Take that and divide it by what? It's going to be what? -2. Your directress is started with y, so I'm going to start with x equals -2 minus a -2. So x equals 0. Now we're ready to graph. -2, -3. Check. My directress is x equals 0, so that means it's a vertical line going through the origin. So if my directress is that way, I'm going to go opposite direction, 1, 2, this way. Check, check. Focal width is -8. So that means you're going to go 4 one way, 4 the other way. And that's your graph.
How did you get that line? I mean,
This right here, buddy. Okay, that's your focus. Your p-value is 2, so you go from 2 from this vertex.
wait, is that what that line was?
No, but what line, buddy? This right here?
Oh, yeah.
That's the directress.
Got it.
Alright. Those are not too bad, are they? Miss Hopper likes these the best. I said, they are easy once you get the hang of them. Homework is page 10, 39 through 43. I will review these in the video tomorrow. Review these, review hyperbolas, and then teach you like 2 or 3 examples. Are there any questions? Some of you, we need to check our eye now and look at our average and say, okay, I need an A on this test. Okay? We start limits on Monday.
Limits are easy.
It's Cal 1. You start Cal 1 Monday. You gotta go get your phone. You gonna get your card details.
We're going to somebody needs how all
I don't know if I'm gonna make my day be there or not. I do like seeing all y'all's red stuff. If I come, it'll be about 2 minutes. So I can see y'all's red stuff.
someone shirtless at home.
That's my knee. Don't show like my knee. Y'all have a great day. It's a 47-minute video. Done.